This is Fiona Miller of Quadroscope. Fiona is a seasoned entrepreneur and CEO, and she's raising a new round. So over to you, Fiona. Thank you.
So that's terrific. Hello, everyone. So I've been reading book after book on longevity and also following up on some research. And to my chagrin, I'm learning about my brain shrinking and my muscles atrophying into sarcopenia, and my stem cells depleting. And once the store of some stem cells deplete, game over. So I am done. I've had enough with aging. And so I am here, like many of you, to do something about it. So first, we're going to talk about key trends in the longevity science and market. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Quadroscope at the end of the session, but like other funds presenting here, we invest into companies that are working to reverse human aging. So this is a rough outline of my talk. We're not going to talk a lot about snake oil, other than to say it's the job of a venture fund to separate snake oil from real science. We're going to talk a lot about real science. And today we have some treatments that are producing modest results in curing aging. We have a fairly good understanding of human aging at this point. And we have some treatments, some of which you've heard about here, that are about to go into human trials. And these treatments have a much bigger promise in their effectiveness. And of course, all of this is enabled by a surge of investment that you saw last year, and we expect to continue, because this is the right time to invest in this industry. The treatments are going to be deployed and being deployed. Peter talked about his clinics. I am part of that. I'm on the board of the Healthy Longevity Clinics, and very important to deploy them. And some of the more effective treatments will be deployed as trials, because that's the way we can get them to people who need them. And of course, the regulations are here, and we're going to have to keep chipping away at them. So let's start with the science. We have 20 years of science here to back up the industry. Back in 2022, we started with organ development and programmable cell death. So what you see in the slides, we actually have live slides, and there are links on all of our slides. So you can click on the companies. You have the Nobel Prize laureates here. The ones in bold actually work for the companies shown here in the industry. You have Altos Labs alone has 2 Nobel Prize laureates on its staff. And this is Shinya Yamanaka with cellular reprogramming, and Jennifer Doudna, whom we all know. And so we have DNA repair, we have autophagy, all of the science is here. So science is clearly here. We've got an exponential increase in the number of publications relating to longevity, and a steady increase in clinical trials. So we're showing somewhat conservative figures. I've seen figures of tens of trillions of dollars associated with this industry, and of course there's a related spending, but just looking at very direct spending on diseases of aging. We're looking at $500 billion spent this year just on treating these diseases that some speakers ahead of me already said we shouldn't be even treating them. This money, in the next 10 years, we will phase into spending on age reversal, and then we will not have to deal with these diseases in the first place. But the market is really bigger, and we are showing $1 trillion. Again, we have links on all of our slides, and you can follow the references where we got these numbers. But in addition to all of these diseases, we added things that older people spend money on, things like preventive medicine, cosmeceuticals, alternative medicine, and so forth. And so if you add it all together and click on some of the links, we have $1 trillion industry. And this spending, if we can rejuvenate ourselves from within, not cosmetically, but from within, that spending is going to go to aging and age reversal. Some of these numbers come from Phil's research. Thank you very much. We did reference with a link there. You can see that every year we have an increasing number of longevity companies formed. And Phil, you were showing something like $7 billion, I think, last year invested into our industry. And my partner, Dr. Jose Navarro Betancourt, who's a biologist on the team, he actually went through investment by investment, and you can click on these dots and look at the deal. And we have added it up to about 6 billion, so we're in the same ballpark. Obviously, you see that mainstream media is now also picking up on these investments. Altos, everybody knows, is the outlier with $3 billion invested just last year. Calico is actually a pioneer, a longevity company. It was formed in 2013, and Larry Page invested into it, one of the Google founders back then, and this year it got another $1 billion, half from Google, half from AbbVie, which is big pharma. And so another notable development is big pharma is now interested in longevity. And these are some representative investments and deals that happen into our industry from big pharma. You see Menovia. Let's see if I can. Menovia is an Israeli company, also a mitochondria treatment, like Tom was just presenting. Okay, and this slide, I think Tom borrowed some of our research. Again, this is a live slide. You can click on the logos and go right to the companies. Jose broke it up by the things we can treat, by indications. And then what you see highlighted is all of our investments. So you can see we have Mitrix as well in the mitochondria, very important area to power our cells. Once we know how to reprogram them, we'll need the power based on what Tom was saying, and I believe it. We are paying attention to immune system. Immune system was mentioned here. So Immune is one of our investments led by a very experienced entrepreneur with a stellar track record, is working on stem cell secretome, the little particles that are emitted by stem cells, targeted by immune stem cells to strengthen our immune system. We have recently invested into Deciduous, which is treating senescent cells also via the immune mechanism, which allows it to precisely target specific senescent cells. We don't want to kill all of them. We don't want to kill other cells like current senolytics do. So that's exciting. And we've recently invested in Nanotics, a company that's producing a little 150 nanometer particle that gets ingested in your blood, and these particles go around and clear from your blood inflammatory proteins and cancer-causing proteins. So this could potentially replace therapeutic plasma exchange, so you don't have to be hooked up to IV to sit there for hours. You instead inject a part, and that's an exciting development. They have 18 patents, and it's widely applicable platform technology. This is just some examples. But really, this is not a fair way to think about our industry, because, for example, in a car, one cable breaks and the whole car doesn't work, but in a human body, we have a lot of pathways that will work around something that's broken and make things work. And the reverse is also true. If we fix one thing, for example, mitochondria, the power cell, that can fix a lot of the immune issues we have. And so some of these treatments apply to multiple segments shown in this slide. And so another way to think about it as a matrix. And you can see here the size of the circle is a therapeutic potential. And you have hallmarks of aging, which you probably all know about, across the top. And then across vertically the treatment modalities. And why do we have billions of dollars invested in cellular reprogramming? Well, because it can address a lot of things that go wrong with aging and so forth. So that's another way to look at it. Of course, a lot of us, we've talked about, well, what's my biological age? Phil's biological age is 47, even though he's 55. And there's a whole industry built around these biomarkers. And I just finished a TRIMEX trial with Dr. Greg Fahey, and that lasted 18 months and with dosages of a cocktail of medicine. And there was a very, very tight feedback loop of several biomarkers to adjusting the dosages. It wouldn't have worked otherwise, but it worked amazingly well for me. But it also points to a need for machine learning and AI, because Dr. Fahey is a brilliant scientist, but we need a machine to do all of that. And there are a lot of biomarkers out there. It's an industry unto itself. And again, we have broken them up. On the left, you see molecular biomarkers, and that's epigenetic age. That's considered today the most precise metric. And we have even, well, biochemical is blood tests that measure inflammatory protein, try to detect cancer. GRAIL, I don't know if some of you may know, it's becoming a popular screening for cancer, which analyzes your blood for precancerous proteins. SAR Labs, not many know, but a very exciting company coming out of India, and they actually do analyze blood, but on an epigenetic level, where they can predict a cancer that will happen a year in advance, and they can predict where in your body it's going to happen. Really amazing stuff. So yes, a whole different industry, and because there's so much data produced, we will need machine learning and AI to help us make sense of it and make it effective. So a little bit about our fund. It's all about people. I come from a high-tech industry. A couple of years ago, I sold my last company with a 12x exit. I've been a serial entrepreneur. I'm investing my own money, and I have my own investments of 3.3 million that I'm putting in the Quadroscope fund at cost for our investors to take advantage. And so one thing I've learned over the years of running companies, especially at my last company, I owned 60% of the company. I did very well. But I quickly realized that I was not running the show. It's all about the people who work there. You have to have the right team, and that was my job, is to make sure that it is the right team. So my job in investing isn't much different. It's just an extension over multiple companies. Ideas are a dime a dozen. You need a team that can execute. You need a team that we can relate to, that we can help, and that we know will do the job. Dr. Navarro Betancourt is the scientist on the team. He's got an MD and a PhD from McGill. He did a lot of the work here that I'm showing, so he's the scientific partner. We also rely on our advisors, Nir Barzilai. Actually, we have a strong Israeli connection. I lived in Israel for a while. Nir obviously is an Israeli. He's one of the pioneers in the industry, and he can bring a lot of scientists who can help us with due diligence, as well as Carmela Abraham, another Israeli. She's a CSO of Clogenics. Carmela's life work has been on Klotho, which has just recently been recognized as one of the key rejuvenation proteins, and there are very few experts, and Klotho is complex. And she brings that to the team. Diane Simons is an entrepreneur and an angel investor. She's a biologist and an expert in regulatory issues. And she serves on the board of several companies. And Reason, whom you may know, he writes a prominent newsletter. He's the CEO of one of our companies, Repair Bio. And our venture partners, we have a relationship with Frank Wellens, was on my board of director at my last tech company. He's been through many private equity deals. He's a very talented finance person. Miri Polachek has also health industry experience in the executive roles in Israel and has a lot of connections to bring there. That's a treasure trove of investments right there. And Dan Filstra, a very interesting guy. Dan was in the computer industry, and he's a creator of VisiCalc, which is a precursor of Excel. So Dan started his career when Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were young, and so did I. And so we invest, we're a small fund, and we're a first-time fund, and we invest into early stage, pre-seed and seed ventures where we can still make a difference. We do have our portfolio companies are targeting early exits, 2 to 5 years, through these partnerships, in which Big Pharma now does have a lot of interest. So instead of telling you, I mean, we are well connected. We attend all the trade shows, and we read, combine as a team, all of the research. But I thought I'd just throw at you quickly a number of companies that we're looking to invest in. We're not naming names, but you can see the locations. And so let's start with this one, a really interesting company with kind of a short time to market, actually, because of the nature of what they're doing. So here you can see the stage, in vitro animal testing or human testing right here. And then if there's a biomarker, a hallmark of aging, we have these hallmarks here, and you can read it here in the center. So this is loss of proteostasis. Stasis. So this company is aiming to cure presbyopia using small molecules that restore the flexibility of the eye lens, so old folks like us don't have to wear reading glasses. The treatments may be applicable to other conditions associated with protein damage. And as you know, these age reversal companies, they have these fundamental treatments of the mechanisms of aging. We're not targeting any one condition, but each and every one of them has a condition that they take through the FDA to become a legitimate biotech company. So you can see, again, you see some of the, what is the hallmark, altered intercellular communication. This is a company in the Boston area revolutionizing treatment of osteoarthritis using gene therapy to regenerate cartilage in the joints. We've got a really interesting company in Israel synthesizing biomaterials that serve as scaffold where cells attach. So these are your own cells. They love this scaffold. And again, this is on a very short FDA approval path, really exciting. The scaffold could go in to treat some deep wrinkles in your face as a short-term time to market. Also, with the receding gum line on the teeth, and then they are targeting some of these first indications. Really, really interesting. Great results in animals so far. We've got another company producing antibodies that specifically recognize senescent cells and promote the removal of these cells by the immune system, again, that allows you to precisely target them. And this company is in Israel. We've got a company focused on the isolation, expansion, enhancements, and reinfusion of blood stem cells to reconstitute and rejuvenate the immune system. Again, the immune system keeps coming up. It is probably the most important thing for us to restore. We've got another company, there's like 20 of them. This is not an exhaustive list, but you can see it's really exciting stuff happening. We have a ton of opportunity in this industry already. Small proteins that selectively bind to damaged collagen have the potential to diagnose and treat fibrotic diseases like liver, for example, cirrhosis. Cellular reprogramming using vesicles produced by neural stem cells, which contain rejuvenation proteins, mRNAs, and microRNAs. My partner can explain all this in detail. If you folks are interested, please come and talk to us. A company in New York, which is a university spin-out opportunity aiming to gradually, progressively replace aged brain cortex tissue. So our brains are shrinking, and there isn't much else we can do about it today. There's a company developing an AI-enabled blood test for early detection of hard-to-diagnose chronic diseases. This is, again, a short time to market through the FDA because of the nature of the product. We have this really cool company with very prominent scientists tied to MIT in the Boston area, machine learning technology that generates and analyzes complete multi-omic profile, tons of computations. I already mentioned we will need computers, human brains, and we're not good at analyzing so much data. And the data is just exponentially building. So this company can capture your current health status, predict future conditions, and design personalized rejuvenation treatments. Really cool stuff. Another company in Israel, non-invasive functional neuroimaging platform for early detection of brain diseases via transcranial magnetic stimulation, again, close to market. And that's kind of, these are some of the examples. These are actual companies we're working with. We need to get the fund closed. It's a small first-time fund, $20 million. The terms are very common terms. Myself, I'm already investing $3.3 million of my own angel investment into the fund at cost, and I'm adding another $1 million of my own money. That's the foundation, and we are raising money. We hope to talk to some of you about that. And let's invest in fighting aging together. Thank you very much.